My name is Vashni and I'll be moderating these rounds today. But before we jump into the debates themselves, we have an addition to our jury panel today. We've got with us Dhruva Bhatt, who is the co-founder of Lumiere Education, former coach of the Indian national debate team that won the World Championships in 2019, a Rhodes Scholar at the Oxford University, before which he studied economics at Harvard University, where he also served as the president of the Harvard College Debate Union. I think I'm out of fingers for his achievements at this point, but I'm so happy to have you here, and thank you for joining us, Dhruva. Let's get straight away into our first semi-final round. I have in front of me a really interesting and relevant topic. It reads, governments should give extra votes to young adults. Example, 1 vote to members aged 60 plus, 1.5 votes to those aged 40 to 60, 1.8 to 2 votes to those aged 18 to 40, etc. Speaking for the motion, representing New Horizons Scholars School, we have Sanvi Pai. And speaking against the motion from St. Augustine's High School, we've got Sanya Chaudhary. Sanvi and Sanya, best of luck. Before you begin, a quick recap of the rules. Opening comments for 3.5 minutes each. We will give you a bell at 3 minutes to indicate that you have 30 seconds left, and a bell at 3.5 minutes to indicate that you have to wrap up your speech in the next 5 to 10 seconds. Following that, we have a round of cross-questioning between the both of you, where you get to pose a question and a follow-up question to the member of your opposite team. And finally, you'll get a round of questions from the judges. Once again, best of luck to both participants. And without further ado, can I please request Sanvi to begin her speech.
It is predicted that half of Mumbai, that is Amchi Mumbai, will be underwater by around 2050. What is causing this catastrophe? Isn't it the greed and the thoughtless policies that is impacting me and my generation? Despite 34% of being youth, only 50% of these come out and vote. If youth don't participate, we are inviting more such catastrophic events that will wipe out our future. That's why they say that's where the future lies, which is in the youth. So, through my speech, I will cover 2 main arguments. My first argument speaks about how young adults are responsible and contributing for the betterment of the world. My second argument speaks about how do we ensure higher participation of younger population in a democratic process. So now let me start with my first argument. They say youth is the hope of our future. The prime role of any government is framing rules and policies which help define the future of the country. These policies or developmental work that are beneficial for the future generation. If the weightage of votes is higher in favor of the youths of this country, the politicians will be forced to think and bring in policies or developmental work that are beneficial to the youths of this age. Thinking of these, lawmakers will be forced to change from being short-term oriented to being future ready, from being topical to being holistic. A good example of this is the Global Climate Change Summit, where young minds like Greta Thunberg and Vinusha Umashankar had played a big role in influencing the global leaders to change many harsh but bold corrective measures, therefore leaving a healthy world for the future generation. Another good example of this is Malala Yousafzai, the world's youngest Nobel Prize recipient, who, in spite of getting shot in head, survived to tell her tale and became a champion for gender equality, forcing the world leaders to take a note and implement such strong gender equality policies, and also openly criticize those countries setting up a bad example. There are many such examples of how younger generation has been able to influence decision making and make this world a better place to live. Now let me move on to my second argument. Bapu always said, be the change you want to see in the world. So what is this change that I'm talking about? Today, when you go to any college, you will hear the youth talking about sports or movies or even latest gizmos. But how many times would you hear these young people talking about politics and future development of the country? Well, this has to change. You have to start involving more younger generation into the mainstream politics. For this, it is important that you empower them and make their voices heard, make them have a greater say in the decisions of our country. Well, so when you are given a higher weightage to the votes of the younger generation, this will prompt the aspiring lawmakers to be more actively engaged. I want to see a day when young people are discussing politics in not just debate competitions like this, but in corridors and canteens of their colleges. That will be the day and will be the dawn of a new modern India. Based on these two arguments, I strongly oppose the motion. Thank you for your patient listening and thank you for your time.
It's 2021 and I believe in equality for everyone. Voting is a way for people to show their opinions and subsequently choose a leader for future. However, giving extra votes to young adults is like giving right to expression to a certain age group and not to the other, as in this case, the older generation. Now, my opponent friend spoke about how we should empower young voters and young adults to vote. Now, the reason why young adults don't vote is not because they want extra votes. There are many other factors that influence it. Here I mention a few of them. First, that is lack of accessibility of voter ID. Now, it has been surveyed in the state of Maharashtra itself that more than 30 to 29% of youth don't have their voter ID. And the reason that they don't have their voter ID is because they are just unaware of the process of going about it. They don't know how to get your voter ID, or they're just afraid of the process being too long. Second, that is lack of interest in politics. Third, that is lack of education about the politics. Now, empowering young adults can be done much more efficiently in many other ways. For example, educating them about politics, providing freebies at voting booths, or anything like that. For example, today's generation is all about social media, so why not give some vouchers or something to the young adults voting? Even that would empower young adults to vote. Now, in my speech, I'm going to cover two arguments. First, the importance of influence and experience in politics. And second, what social problems we might face if we implement this policy. Today's young adults are heavily influenced by many sources, such as parents, friends, society, and how can we forget social media influencers. Now, if we give young adults extra vote, it might lead to them choosing an individual unfit for the particular role, which will obviously lead to a lot of problems and issues later when the political party comes into the government. Second, experience is something that you cannot buy. It is something that you earn over time. Now, Narendra Modi, Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, Vladimir Putin, or in history, Martin Luther King or George Washington. Now, all these world leaders, the common factor in all of them is their age. All of them are most probably above the age of 60. Now, the reason for that is experience is something that we gain over time through our mistakes or through others' mistakes. Now, choosing government official needs a lot of wisdom, analyzation, and decisiveness, and these qualities are most often developed by age. Now, on to my second argument. What are the adverse effects of implementing this policy? As young adults will be granted with extra vote, this might lead to political parties thinking only about them or being biased towards them. Now, who wants a biased government? No one, right? Also, one more problem that we might face is the generation of superiority complex in young adults. They will feel like they have a power in their hands as they have extra votes. Hence, I think we should not give extra votes to young adults. Thank you.
Sanvi, can you ask Sanya your question first?
Okay. Great thought, Sanya, but you still haven't addressed the elephant in the room. Well, my question to you is, how will you ensure a much higher participation from the youth to vote for change?
Okay. Now, I think I've already answered that question. For example, if you want that young adults should vote, so you can do many other things for that. For example, you can create seminars, workshops in colleges and especially in schools for the young adults to realize why it is so important to vote. And also there are a lot of youngsters in today's generation who feel that politics is equals to conflict. Now, one more way of increasing adult vote turnouts is to end this perception of what people have that politics is equals to conflicts, because that's not it. But a lot of people think about it. Now, we all have seen how if you go to vote, there are long, long queues. No one wants to stand in queues. Now, if we provide something like Wi-Fi where voting booths are settled, then I think more people would want to vote because they won't be bored in standing that long queues.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that, Sanya. And in return, Sanya, do you have a question for Sanvi that you'd like to ask?
Okay, so your side of the argument says that we should give young adults extra votes. But the harsh reality is that even after giving extra votes to young adult, some people won't vote. They will still be lazy and think about, oh, why should I travel from my house to the voting booth to just vote? So what are your plans for the stubborn, people who will still not vote, even after granting them extra votes?
So whatever I'm proposing, I'm not sure that it will work 100%, that everyone will come to vote. I can't guarantee that. But at least I'm trying to make a change. I'm trying to make a difference in the society. I'm trying to involve young adults to come. I'm trying to tell them that it's your responsibility, it's your right to vote, it's your right to choose a better government if you want. So I'm not willing to accept blindly that this will all happen today, this will all happen in a moment, but at least I'm trying to make a difference. Sometimes all you need to do is start, because where there's a will, there'll always be a way. There'll always be a way. So yeah, that's my answer.
Great. I'd like to thank both speakers for that round of questions. And let me throw it open to the three of you, Sujit, Namita, and Dhruva, if you have questions for the speakers.
Hi, Sanvi. Thank you for a wonderful speech in support of the motion, but we do have one question for you, which is the elderly face a number of issues such as loneliness, abandonment, lack of access to health services that they need. Why are those issues less important than the long-term issues that you talked about, which young people are likely to favor?
Okay, so I agree with your point that there are many problems with with older people, like they are lonely, they feel they have health issues and many more. But if you bring the younger people, there is a chance that they will vote, they will bring a better government, they will take stands and make changes for this. They will bring more health, they will bring many health insurances, they will bring more policies to help the adults, to help the older people. Well, whereas as much I've seen that older people try to keep the things as they are. They usually try to keep things as they are and don't try to bring new ideas, new policies. Whereas I believe that when younger people will start voting more, I believe that they will bring better changes and they will bring more policies to help these people.
Thank you, Sanvi, and I hope that you'll be one of those young leaders who bring those changes in the future as well.
Hi Sanya, again congratulations to both of you on being in the semi-final. Really good speeches. So Sanya, my question is for you. You mentioned a bunch of examples of politicians that generally fall on the older line of things, and you mentioned that this is a good idea because of experience. Our question for you is, if indeed the youth are feeling left out of politics, isn't it because of these old people? And if so, wouldn't the better thing for us to do would be a full rebranding in terms of maybe electing younger politicians that are relatable to your generation, and that would also require things such as giving the youth more votes so they can elect one of their own?
Okay, so in the beginning of my speech, I said that equality is for everyone. Now, if we elect someone or if we give someone an opportunity just because that person is youth or just because that person is young, I think it will be unfair for the older people, as it doesn't matter what a person's age is. What matters is their skills, what the personality of the person is, how overall the person is. So I think just giving opportunity and just electing someone because we want to include young adults in something, and just on the basis of that giving opportunity to young adults will be ageism probably, because, and that's something very unfair and I don't support it. I think a person should be elected on the basis of their skills and hard work rather than age. Thank you.
I also have a follow-up question for this. Sometimes experience is something that you earn tons of experience with small acts and not necessarily comes with more age. So there are young people very experienced, and we have some very young leaders, across our country today who are playing very pivotal roles. So do you really believe that experience only comes with larger age? I mean, greater age, higher age?
No. Obviously, I don't completely believe in that. What my point was, experience in the field of especially politics. For example, my father would have more political experience than I have because he has been in the era where, for example, something like emergency was declared by Indira Gandhi. Or for example, I would have more experience than my younger nephew because I was there when demonetization was declared. So I know what was it like to be there standing in long queues in banks just to get my notes exchanged. So I was talking about political experience and life experience. And yes, young youths and young adults do have a lot of experience, but they are gaining experience and they are not there yet, I believe.
Sania, thank you. That was wonderfully answered.
Thank you, judges, for your questions, and I'd like to thank both speakers for their amazing answers once again. And because I just can't help myself, just a last question to you, Sania. You said you want to give young people incentives to vote. So an example you gave us was freebies. I'd like to know why giving an extra vote as an incentive is any different to giving freebies, because both of them are technically unfair and technically incentives to one group of people over another, right?
I didn't meant giving freebies to only youth. I mean giving freebies to everyone, but I understand your question. Now, giving freebies is not as unfair as giving extra votes, because giving extra votes to someone is a big thing. They can dominate the political system and that will lead to collapse of democracy, obviously. Also, it is said that where there is no equality, there is no liberalism as well. So I think to make a step towards liberalism, we need to give equal votes to everyone, whether it's an adult, it's a young adult, or it's an old citizen. Thank you.
First of all, congratulations, Sanvi and Sania. Both of you had very valid points on your side of the balance. But nonetheless, we need to have somebody whose motion moves forward, and we need to feel convinced about that, which is where that Sania has made the cut and she moves to the next round.